is Shifty. I noticed that your game is on Joe's Indie Games Clinic, the deck builder. He's like playing a couple deck builders together. One of them. Mine is Bound Together. It's one of the other ones. So I thought it would be kind of nice, feeling like doing some playtest and stuff. So um, I already did a playtest of the other game, the Northonda Chronicles, and I was gonna go ahead and do the same for your game. I don't know. I don't know how wise it is, but I would definitely like make last minute changes for my game. So if you get a chance, or if you want to play through and just let me know if there's any bugs or any, especially anything game breaking, I would want to know before before Joe plays. But yeah, I was just gonna do the same for your game. Obviously, I enjoy deck builders, so I figured it'd be a good chance to give some last minute feedback and or just kind of um, another set of eyes on it, outside of Joe's, right? So kind of two play tests together at the same time to try to kind of get a different feedback or supplementary feedback. So just gonna do that. Hopefully something about this helps. I think you said it was like 30 minutes or so. I was trying to read um your description, but yeah, I figured I would just play it, see what I think, give my opinions. Obviously they're going to be dev opinions, not a gamer opinion, so I may give opinions that don't really matter, but hopefully something, just seeing somebody play it, get their reactions, hopefully that'll be helpful. So let's get into it. Cat's always, as soon as I try to do something, she wants attention. All right, let's do a new run. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, is there a way to make this? Oh, it doesn't play nice with full screen up for me. Interesting. Yeah, it's actually significantly worse when I full screen it. Now it's like all cropped off. Shoot, let me refresh. Actually, maybe it's just smarter if I just download it. I don't really mind doing that. Yeah, we want the Windows one. Yeah, so. Well, now you. I'll just pause the recording while I'm downloading. So. Alright, back. Just had to unzip, and of course, my cat is here, so I am going to be temporarily hindered. I'll start off with checking some options. Just curious. This cat. Let me check my performance. I'm often curious how much difference. Some games just are like really poorly optimized, or like some of these default settings are um, not conducive. This isn't seeming like it's making a big difference currently. Let me just do reset. Let me just leave it at default, and I'll just keep my performance tab up there. Um, let's do it. Yes. So I don't know really anything about this game, so far I see space themed, space thematic, but it's called Fatal Exception, so I'm curious how that's going to play out. Oof, that's okay. I was like, that's hard to read there. 40,000. Human salvage crew liabilities exceed asset values. Hack? Um, just from that intro and even from some of this dialogue, like I understand it's like trying to like get a little bit of back, like kind of like a little bit of world building, like what kind of situation we're in. I think that was fine for the intro. Like I felt like the intro was interesting. It was brief enough that I read it all and that like, well, I skimmed it all. I didn't really read it that detailed. But I'm not sure how I feel about the tutorial. Well, basically this threw me for a loop. We're like reading like some very specific lore-based things in my tutorial. You could just say like recommended procedure is that we, and then it's still technical and it's still thematic to this little character, but it doesn't throw lore-based things into your tutorial. So does that make sense? Like you could keep the flavor of it the same without throwing in words that are specific to, oh, well, if I wasn't, like, I don't really know what Ernase headquarters is, and so I don't know, that's not really important to this. So I would say like if it's just read like recommended procedure, it would still have the same tone, but it would be universally understood. In case somebody like just straight up skipped that intro, or like me skimmed it and didn't really play it. So my expectation is that it's not important to know that part. Salvage a vessel, you need to restore its systems. Okay. Play a card that increases system progress. Discard to gain RAM. Okay. Okay, so it's like a balancing between playing and discarding, and those clicks are intuitive. Yes, Cat, you are here and in the way. Congratulations. Okay. Play, we lose 1 RAM. Where's my RAM tracked at? I guess here, have 0 RAM by default. So I can discard it for 1 RAM. I don't understand what destructor means here. Because it's -2 system progress. I don't know when that happens. I don't have any system progress right now. So if I... Sure, I just destruct that, play that. Okay. I'm not sure if it mattered. I guess I'm just a little confused what destructor means. I assume I haven't really gotten into that. Okay. I'm glad I did the tutorial though, because this is a little bit different than just standard stuff. So, all right. We start with the card in the destructor deck. Okay, sure we do. When you enter turn, the destructor deck's top card will trigger its destructor effect. Destructor effect is bad. Well, I don't like that. Okay. Card to the bottom of the draw pile. Okay. Huh. So we need to end up with 4. Okay, so we want to end with whatever's on top to be the smallest number. So like this freebie probably. And so this says 2. Does that mean it costs and... Okay, yeah, it costs and produces 2 RAM. So but it's also way bad destructor, so I can't leave it on top. I'm not. Oh, I guess I have an intern button, so I can discard this. Oh, they go to the bottom of the deck. Oh. Well, that's not what I expected. I was like, oh, I'll just bury it. It's no big deal. Okay. So that's gonna be a problem because then now my next one is gonna be the really bad negative one. Great. So what that really means to me is that I should honestly just burn my next turn. Wait, start of turn. Because I'm. So at the start of turn, I don't have any RAM. So I can't just cheese the system and be like, I'm just not doing anything this turn. The next turn I do it after I'm past my bad destructor. I don't think so. So I guess I want to discard this one and then play these two. But it doesn't really matter what I do because my next, this one takes me down 1, this one takes me down 3. Yeah, so I can't just stack RAM. That makes sense. Yeah. So this is going to just completely deplete. So really, no matter what I do this turn, it's kind of wasted. I have to gear up for the next. So what I really want to do is have another freebie in my discard next. So let's do that. And then I guess we'll just do the next. Yeah, because like I said, it really doesn't matter what I do as far as this turn, because it's just going to get undone. But then I have 2 turns where I'm only negative 1ing, so I should be able to, on those 2 turns, make it. We'll just go ahead and discard 1 more just to stack it up, and then it doesn't really matter. Nothing here matters. This gets undone. Okay, but now I'm only negativing 1, so I should be able to generate enough. I mean, really, there's only one thing I can do here. Discard 1 and go +2. Lose one of them, and then now I need to generate 3. I guess I don't need to generate 3 this turn. I just need to generate. I just need to end up higher than 1. So if I discard this one, I can do the other 2. And then go down 1, and I just need to get +2 here. How the heck do I do that? I thought I had this pretty well figured out, because now my deck gets really bad again because I've got several of these going, because I thought for sure over the course of 3 turns I'd be able to do this, but I don't understand where I went wrong. It just seems like the negatives are higher than the positives, so it's like really hard to stack them. I don't know if do I just need to get lucky? Because there's no other way to play this hand. Yeah, and I thought I was supposed to draw to 4. Why do I only have 3? Is my deck just super limited, and so since I discarded too many cards, I I guess that's what happened, but that feels kind of bad because like I didn't even realize what I was doing, and so I kind of got punished for it. And now I'm like in this weird state where I feel like I need to burn my way through these. Like I think I need to literally end my turns several turns in a row in order to clear through these. Yeah, but I think that's what happened. So I think that maybe the starting deck should have a couple more cards. Or this should maybe start out limited, like you can only put so many in here or something like that. Because just from me trying to figure out how it works, I was like, oh, if I stack up 3 cards, then I'll be able to cleanly play hands that'll let me win. But that's not really true because I needed to... I ran out of cards. So a little problematic. I think like just, well, one more card would have worked for me, I guess. I don't know. So I just feel like somehow it needs to, like I need to be aware of like what was happening because I was just not realizing how limited things were. I guess there's really nothing on here that's indicating what the, I guess, yeah, this is the draw pile, this is the destructor pile. So yeah, I guess I just didn't notice, but I'm not sure if there's a way for you to mitigate that or not, because yeah, I kind of got myself into this weird situation where now I need to burn my way through all of these. Yep, it's just not even worth playing until, at least there's no like turn limit, so I can literally just clear this. And then now what do we do? I guess I want to play these -2 and discard these. So I think I discard the freebie, play the tree shaking, play the tree shaking. So I go 2 down to 1. And now that I have more cards to work with, I should be able to go up to 4 without too much trouble. Let's see, because if I discard these 2, that gives me 3. Yeah. Dang. I do think that some amount of what I was doing is what made that more difficult, but yeah. I do feel like it kind of lends itself to get into that sticky situation I got into. I think it's just teaching me how the game works, and it's almost like it's kind of interesting. It ended up being more like a puzzle than a like a deck builder that I'm used to. So it's kind of like merging those genres a little bit. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, definitely got myself in a weird situation. So now we have threats, I think. If it reaches threat level 10, the vessel is lost. Okay. Okay, so this is essentially, I think, what I did before won't work, where I just cycled through my deck until I got to what I wanted, because I think that the threat level doesn't reset, and so I think if I try the same strategy or if I make the same mistake as I did before, I'll hit threat 10 and lose. So I think this is where it gets more complicated, where you don't just get unlimited tries. Oh, okay, so there are, interesting, so, I'm glad the cat left, okay. So there are ways to lower the threat level, though, so it's not like a guaranteed thing, but it looks like the threat goes up a lot faster than it goes down, so my assumption is that I can't rely on that. Yeah, this is like a different exercise, kind of a little bit more of a brain teaser, scratcher sort of thing. So, the most I can really get out of this is like I really don't feel like I should. I just don't know how to start tackling this. I don't have anything in my destructor. If I destruct these two without playing anything, I just lose, but the only thing that pluses my thing is this one. So what if I were to... What if I were to destruct this? Destruct this? Play this? I guess? I don't know. Alright, so we're right back at 5 threat. This didn't really achieve anything there, so I don't think that was right. And we're gonna lose 1, so we need to get to at least 2, otherwise we're not really any better off. And I think that the threat is gonna, again, based on what I've seen on these cards, I feel like the threat is just always gonna go up, essentially. It's like really hard to, like, using this card is like the only way to make it go down. And you gotta add stuff to it to... Unless... What do we do here? I don't feel like I want to destruct this because it's +3 threat. So what if I just spend... Let's just do a little testing, because my thought was like, oh, this threat is going to just only go up, and so it's going to be a constant battle. But what if, again, I'm just experimenting, what if I burnt some turns just intentionally lowering my threat level, knowing that it's not going to let me end the game, but it will, hopefully my goal is to get the threat level lower than when I started. So now I'm going to stay at 0, but my threat level is lower than it was. But I guess also I don't get to get rid of these cards, so they kind of just stay here. Because if I destruct this thing, then it's going to just kind of undo what I've just done. I could destruct this one and play this one just to get them out of my hand, I guess? Yeah, let's try that. Because that's not going to do anything, because it's just going to go right back away. But at least it allows me to, like, properly draw my cards. I mean, I guess it doesn't make a difference, because they just went to this pile and then I drew them again, so I think I'm overthinking it. I think, yeah. But I have successfully lowered my threat by doing that. So, in theory, I could do the same thing. Well, no, I can't, because my cards are already tied up in here. Yeah, because all of these are going to destruct into more threat than I can get rid of. This is just neutral, so I could just neutral it, which is probably about as best as I can hope for here. Well, wait, if I add 3, go up to 6, and then I can subtract 3, go down back to 3. Yeah, I think no matter what I do here, I end up I could get rid of this for 1 ram, then I can go down, but then when this decomposes it goes right back up. So I can like temporarily lower my RAM. This is a bit perplexing. And I'm not even into the game. I'm just trying to figure out from the tutorial. So, let's see here. What do I want to do? Yeah, like not gaining, basically using this card is worthless. So I shouldn't use it. It's up to me if I want to hold on to it. But I think I'm going to use this for the RAM, and then just undo those things. So then I will take this order. So it's -3 this turn, so my levels don't matter. So I'm going to end up with more threat later. Right now I'm down to 0, so then that should give me the most amount of space I can work with. So I'm going to get this card back in the pool, and I can now take on some more threat in order to try and stack up for things. So hopefully I have enough. This is +2. This is +1. I need another. I actually think I need. It has to be after this card goes, or after the next card goes through, because I don't think I have enough. I don't have enough positives in order to actually get there. Let's end our turn. Because yeah, I'm at 0. I can only go +3. So I kind of need this one too. In order to properly get there. And so then that probably means it's not even worth doing anything with my current cards, because yeah, because if I do anything with my current cards, it just gets undone. So what if I just end turn one more time? Now I'm at 0 threat. I've got the most cards to work with. This is just going to add 3 threat, but that's okay. I think we want to... this, and this. That'll put us at 3. So I probably just didn't need this much space, because now I should be able to easily, I can literally just... Okay, I think I'm just super overthinking, but I think I'm mostly just trying to make sure I understand how things work and how I can like create enough space for me to work in. But like the fact that I ended at 3 of 10, I technically ended at lower threat than I started. I think I went overkill, but I don't have an intuition for how to use these cards. I think I'm getting a little confused. I think what happens is when you discard a card for RAM, you add it to the destructor pile, but you only get the negative effect when it actually destructs. And so I think in my mind, I'm like trying to balance the negative effect immediately, but really I only need to worry about it once it destructs. Only one thing destructs per turn. So you can discard several things to get the RAM, and then you're really just stacking up the order of these to be favorable for you. And so, yeah. I mean, I think I figured out how to do it, but I think it took a lot more turns and cycles than I needed to. But Like I said, I ended with less threat than I started, so I'm going to say it's a good thing. Okay. Impact imminent. Okay. So this one increases level at 1 every turn. So this again is, this is kind of more acting like I was thinking, where it's going to keep building up, so I probably don't get as many turns. Power and thrusters. All systems. Okay. 0-3. Oh, I don't get to choose which system. I have to do them in order. Okay. So right now, my cards only lend themselves to... use this. Let's start to restore the system. And let's also... lower my threat by 2. Okay, because that's going to go up to 4, I guess. Okay. So now we need... So my assumption is if I use this card, but then restore this system? Because otherwise I just can't ever use this. I don't think that that's the case. So if I use this, but then finish off this system first, yeah, I switch to the other system, so then the -3 doesn't hurt me? Maybe? Impact into power +1 refill hand. Oh, +1 to... Okay, so now I draw more cards. Got it. But now, my main thing that I'm thinking of is that this makes it so that this doesn't have a negative effect. Hopefully it does not lower my power, because that would defeat the purpose. So let's see what it does, and then we might as well also use my other ram for lowering my threat level. And then we end our turn, but it's already at 0-3, so we don't lose anything. Cool. Alright, that worked as expected. So now I just need 3, which I don't get here. This is going to go up to 5. So I could use this to go up 2. And then next turn I just need to win. Yeah. It's fine. I don't think it really matters. We just need to do the thing. Cool. Alright. That is kind of nice that you could have like this. You could have the loss looming over your head, but you're like, yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. I survived the tutorial. Yeah. Salvage the boss vessel. Okay. So this is just a recommended path, but you can do literally any of these. Or is this... like, could I do all of these? Or do I do one per tier? I don't understand the significance of choosing your path or anything like that. Really? So this was the tutorial, right? Yeah. Like, do I get buffs that carry on? Or is it just different challenges? Because... yeah, there may be some consideration for not having these be choices if they don't matter per se. So let me I'll just follow the recommended path, but I will check a couple things like do I get to do both in a tier and stuff like that. But damage systems, thrusters 2, EMP shield 3, set level, threat level 2 is here. Okay. Oh, then there's a third thing, reactor. Complete salvage protocol. This has the threat level imminent. Okay, and then I think this is like a buff that I get. I'm not sure how much value there is in knowing all of this, because you see this stuff once you get into it. It's not like I can make a decision. I think this is the only this is really the only thing I care about in advance, is like what about, because basically I just assumed that you can do these are kind of like a puzzle, right? And so you can do any of them, especially this first one where I don't have any buffs, I just have the starting tutorial. But I would assume no matter what, either one of these options can be done. So when I'm making my choice, I don't... well, this has two things. Why is it making me do this one? This has this, but this has two. Has the same thing plus more. Interesting. Anyway, like I said, I'm just going to follow the basic thing, but I almost feel like this is a bunch of information I don't need, because I'm going to get all the same information once I'm actually in here, and this is where it matters, I guess. So I think my only qualm with it is that it feels like it hides the information I care about, which is like the reward you get for doing the thing. Okay, the shield resets. Okay, cool. Yeah, and it even has it in here too. So, yeah, I don't feel like any of that information is really relevant from the external. I think you kind of just have to get into it. So, there are 2 Xenos in my Destructor by default. You get nothing for playing them. You get nothing for playing them. When you destruct them, you get threat level. And when you discard them, you get threat level. So this is these trigger kind of how I thought cards did. Oh, and you trigger in exciting ways. So you don't produce any RAM by yourself. However, when I discard you, I double my RAM. Interesting. But he also doubles the threat level. You are a dangerous toy, my friend. Okay. And what does this do? Nullified Destructor deck effects for 1 turn. Oof. Yeah, this is this is definitely intricate. I would definitely classify this as more of a puzzle game than a like traditional like strategy game. It's interesting. It feels like I'm using more of my puzzle brain than anything else, because I'm like trying to figure out where I should stack these effects in order to minimize my loss. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I do find it interesting, but I do feel like a lot of people, like if you marketed this as a deck builder, I feel like a lot of people who are attracted to deck builders would be a little off-put, but people who like puzzles would be more interested. And so I like both, so I'm still interested, but I do feel like it's exercising a different part of my brain than a traditional deck builder, which again is not a problem. It's just I would definitely keep that in mind when you're marketing this game, because that's what it feels like to me. And if you're not going for that, then you'll need to make some tweaks. But honestly, it definitely feels like what this is. So the real problem is, none of these cards actually give me any power. So I am gaining threat imminently. I've got multiple of these stacked up. So I have to get to some of these. So really, I really just need to minimize my losses, because I don't really want to I don't want to stack up a bunch of negative effects in here. But that said, yeah, definitely a little bit of the decision paralysis in the beginning. So this sets it to 0. I almost feel like I don't want to be using this at all, because getting it into... Oh wait, not only... Huh. I was thinking I could just cycle it to get it out of my hand to draw cards, but I can't. So I have to discard it. When I discard it, I get more RAM. But that's not super helpful, really. Alright, we're gonna discard that one, and then we're gonna nullify the next thing. Card evolution detected. What? Anomaly mask. Play 3 times. Is this like a in-fight or in-game like upgrade system, essentially? Where if I play this 3 times, it's gonna get better. Interesting. So this is gonna be, just... So the only thing that happened was just the unavoidable threat. So now, if I can get 2 energy, I can just get this taken care of. That's interesting. Yeah, there's lots of different effects. I will say that the complexity of this ramped up really quickly. If it keeps ramping, then I think that's kind of unavoidable, but I do feel like I maybe would have liked more time making sure that I understood everything. Like maybe just one more fight, making sure that I understood things. Like basically a tutorial without the, like a tutorial level threat, but without any of the instructions, just to make sure I actually successfully digested everything before we start adding in new mechanics. Or maybe, because I would say that this this has discard effects, this has doubling effects, this has nullifying your destructor. Like this has at least 3 new effects all in this first fight. So I guess maybe that's not even true. Like maybe not even the same as the tutorial, but like maybe just add one of these in for the first fight, because it already started out complex. I felt pretty comfortable. Like, I mean, you saw how long it took me to just get through the tutorial fights, and then now I'm just like throwing out of the frying pan and into the fire. It's like it's ramped up, and my suspicion is it's not going to keep ramping at this aggressive pace. If it is, then this is just an incredibly complex game with very tricky puzzles. But my guess is we're kind of just jumping into a higher level difficulty right away, or maybe not even difficulty, but complexity, because there's so many effects. But it's not going to keep ramping at that pace, so maybe it would be worthwhile to have more of an ease, where we only introduce like one of these effects, either a doubler or a discard effects, or affecting your destructor pile, but not straight into all 3. So maybe maybe this is a perfectly fine, like you keep not remove any content, but just add, I can't see the map, but just add a node or 2 between, that are easy. They're harder than the tutorial, but easier than this. Essentially, just adding one of these mechanics per time, because it seems like there's interesting puzzles that you've created. It just, I think you might need a bit more runway. Is all. Or maybe I should rephrase. I need a bit more runway. You may be fine. Maybe other people will be fine. I, on the other hand, am a bit struggling. Okay, so what I want to do is use this to just clear my thrusters. So I need to generate some RAM. So I think I can just generate the RAM with these 2, get this, and then end my turn. Okay, so now I'm automatically progressing my, I'm automatically progressing this, so really I could rely on that to just manage my, and use this time to manage my threat, because my threat's going to go up by 1, so I'm at 4. This is going to make it go up by 3, which is going to put me to 7. But I also, this is the one where I get a shield, right? Yeah, I get to set it back down to 0. So if I can hit 2 more, I can just reset everything down. Actually, probably can do that, right? So if I discard this, I can double. So if I use this for 1 RAM, double it up to 2, then play these 2, I can finish out the EMP shield, lower my threat all the way down to 0. But then my deck is really disgusting, because then I'm going to immediately gain 3, then I'm going to get a random effect that's going to be in here, and then I guess I don't know, maybe it's going to slot in after here, so maybe this is actually like a free pass, so if that's the case, then maybe I'll be okay. I don't really know how that card works yet, so... And this requires 4, but I assume I keep my thrusters, so maybe it's fine to kind of do it that way. This is the only thing that really worries me, because once I hit this, a lot of threat levels kill me. So that's why I was like, maybe I should burn a turn, get through this one, so that my threat level isn't crazy high. Because I'm resetting it to 0. Like I can't I can't decide if I'm being a coward or a strategist here. Like I could just burn this turn. I go up to 7. Then I do the same play that I was going to do already. but I'm through this card, it gets basically nullified. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think it's the correct play. It feels weird, but I also feel like, yeah, like I said, I can't tell if I'm like being smart about this or if I'm just being paranoid or what. But I'm gonna try it because I feel like it makes sense to me. So I'm gonna end my turn, take the hit. I go up to here. I guess now I really only need one, so I don't even have to use this. So maybe just keep holding this. So I use this. What negative effect do I want here? I mean, the way I lose is threat level. So I guess I'll do this one gets discarded. This one gets played. Optimize, unlock, play to restore a system. Effect delta, play +1. Oh, did this get upgraded? Okay, nice. Card evolved. That is cool. It's good. How is that bad? It just got better. Right? I guess I didn't really pay attention to its yeah, all that changes it playing it is better, so yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good. I'm not I shouldn't be paranoid about this. Okay, cool. So my threat level went right back down to 0. We love that. There's like yeah. So I end my turn. So this went to 1, this goes to 1. Okay. This card, did this card even exist before? I don't even remember this card. Okay, so now I'm getting 2 threat this turn and then a -1. Okay. Gross. We got this thing again. Actually, no, this is fine because this gives me 2. I mean, I immediately gained threat, but because I did the reset, I'm actually okay on threat. I can also nullify. Yeah, I could actually just nullify this too. Let's discard. And then do we just nullify or do we get one closer to actually winning? Or do I do both? Great question, no idea. Sure. Let's do both. Because if I hit anything, so you're nullified, you don't even do anything. If I hit anything that gives me +1, I just win. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Cool. Interesting. I don't know why I have the play-by-play afterwards, but I also don't know why ACK is my OK button. ACK! That's fine. Okay, so I gotta choose. Okay, I think that preview didn't show correctly because it didn't show that I had a choice between the two on this one. It showed it on the other one, but I think it was the same rewards. So if it's the same rewards for each, why is there a choice? Just like choosing the flavor of puzzle you like. I would just consider what value I'm getting out of, because like I feel like the value of me choosing my puzzle is really small, but the burden of feeling like I need to read all that information makes it more overwhelming. And so if it's really not significant, it might just be smarter to just not give the player a choice. Just use those for like random random fights. Like that's one option, is like I don't make a choice, I just get a random fight of that tier, and there's just no choices. You just keep the fights fresh or random. That's an option. You could just have different maps and they just spawn. I don't know. There's there's different ways to do it, but I feel like giving me the choice is actually putting more burden on me when the choice doesn't really matter, because it's a puzzle that you're just trying to solve, and so I don't need to make a choice. So this just, I start with RAM, but I start with threat level. +3 starting threat level value. Okay. Well, this just seems way better than this. An extra card per turn is like whatever, but an extra free RAM will definitely be better long term. Like you can use your first RAM to lower your threat level back down, and then yeah, this just seems great. Oh, so that's why you don't want to, even if you can, you don't want to necessarily jump around. Okay. So would it let me do this if I wanted to? I could. Okay, cool. Okay. Then that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, I said a bunch of stuff, but it's less. I don't know exactly how that exchange works, and it's clear that they've shown me that, oh, you should just do one from each tier. And so I'm not gonna deviate. Like I said, I could just do everything and then see how hard the boss is. That's an interesting mechanic, though, and I'm kind of curious how it works, but. Let's see. Oh yeah, but I was gonna see, because on this preview, oh, I just didn't scroll. Okay. All right. Sure. Let's just do it. +2 threat level for each point of system progress lost. Okay. On restoration of power, refill your hand. On restoration, I'm going to set that to 0. So yeah, this doesn't look like it added. Okay, my card stayed upgraded, which is cool. I like that. So it doesn't seem like it added new complexity. So I do kind of reiterate what I think from before is, maybe there are a couple more ramp ups before we get to the actual, point where you're making choices and deciding. So maybe you can like spread your tutorial out a little bit more, or really just do the full tutorial and then have a fight or two where you're just introducing a couple new mechanics. I think that would be good. The only new thing here is the hull breach, I think. So I think that's it's less overwhelming than my first fight was, and so I feel like that means that they could have been spread out a bit, is all. Alright, let's see. See what we can do here. I don't have enough in my hand to actually get to. It would be kind of nice to be able to see. Like, I understand you're not going to be able to see your entire destructor pile by default, but maybe the top 3, or like a hint of what the top 3 are, without having to click and see. Especially if you're never going to start out, like, because once I start adding them myself, it's less relevant. But when they start out with more than one, it seems like if it showed like the top 3 or something like that, it would make sense, or at least a visual indicator that there's more than one than just the number 2 here. Because to me, this green seems like this is like the actual pile, the destructor pile, like when it was empty. That's what it looked like. And so this looks like there's just one card, but there's two stacked on top of each other. If there was like a visual outline of a secondary card, or if it kind of showed a little sneak preview of the 3 cards or 2 cards or whatever's in there, I think that would help, rather than just relying on this number 2 down here and clicking on it. I mean, I guess eventually I'll get used to Xenos means that there's 2 of these in here, but okay. How do I do this? I mean, I want to use this, so I could use this for, and then discard this. Sure. So this will already finish this. Okay, the power required is going up noticeably, so I do need to keep that in mind. But yeah, this is every turn, so yeah, this is really good. So I could just actually just do this. Yeah. So then now we have a Xeno, and then next turn, okay. So I think I can actually build up to this thrusters without too much trouble. But I only have 1 ram to work with, so I need to decide what is the most relevant thing to be doing. I think I want to discard you, use you, and then end my turn. This isn't too bad. This is a little scary, but if I if I time it right, it won't be too bad. So I feel like I can kind of game it a little bit. Like, all of these minusing threat levels actually is not super relevant, because I'm not worried about that right now, because they're all going to set back to 0 as long as I finish it before I lose. So I think do this. But it does feel like I'm wasting my thing. I can nullify that so I don't add something to my pile. Oh no, I can't because it costs 2. I mean, I could if I do this stuff, but that's kind of rough too. Because stacking onto this is bad. I just don't love keeping all these cards in here. So maybe I use one even though I don't actually care about it, because I need to reset. I'm not really sure actually. So this is going to double my destructor. That's fine. Or it's going to double my threat. But that is okay. I probably want to get through it more than I want to finish this. So I think I do the thing where I let this one go by. And then afterwards, yeah, just let that double. now I'm going to finish this thing. Yes, that's set to 0. Now I gotta build up to 7 before I run out of stuff. I really want to nullify this one. This one's gonna be scary. But we haven't lost any progress, so oh yeah, and this doesn't build either, so this is just gonna be 0 until I get my stuff. So I just have to keep my threat from getting out of control, and I can do that by not losing system progress. So basically, as long as I never actually actually have these effects go off, like if I only use these, never actually put them in the destructor, I should be okay, because my threat level can't really get out of control. So, keeping that in mind, do I want to use this? Because I need to play it 3 times and then I get the thing. But I think I'd rather nullify this one, so I'd rather keep it. So this is something I really want to play. Is it worth burning? I guess so. Because I can also play this one. So I use you for your RAM. Play you to get 1 closer to the... Oh. Nice, you're now better. And I also do this one to just lower my threat back down. Might as well. And then this is gonna do whatever it's gonna do. Oh no, my tree! Wait, what? Why are you bad? Gross. Triggered by draw any card to destructor deck 3 times? Boo. -1 RAM, destructor -1. Ugh. So, oh, so this is free now. Interesting. It is interesting. So when I upgraded it, I was like, ah, this is great. This is just amazing. And then you get this other effect where it's like negative for sure. Like, this is a problem. But if you can time this to not matter too much, it's actually quite good. And the fact that this costs 0 means I just play it. But the problem is it's now in my pile. Boy. The landscape of the game changes out from underneath me, which is interesting. It definitely keeps me on my toes. So yeah, the complexity is definitely there. Okay, so the cool thing is I just get to play this. It's free, and that keeps it out of my destructor pile. So let's just do that. And then we want to use this to mitigate that. So in order to do that, I think I put this in, I use this, and then I use this. I guess I'm going to use this. And then I want to red 0, so I don't need to use that one. So we just nullify this. Nullify +2. I don't know what that means. Does it nullify both, or does it nullify? Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. And then I also want to do this. Because it didn't nullify 2 cards, so I'm not sure what that did. Does it tell me? nullify destructor effects for 2 turns, but this one doesn't show as nullified. Oh, maybe it didn't count because it was transforming actively. It hadn't transformed yet. Oh, but this just wins. Let's do that. Okay, cool. The cards upgrading and transmuting as I play is definitely interesting. It kind of keeps things a little off kilter, so it makes it a little less. It's kind of interesting because it like. What I feel like I'm doing is figuring out how the game works, but then how the game works is changing as I go, which it makes it more interesting, but it also adds even further complexity, which, you know, maybe that's why you have it set up such that you really have to dive in. But I will say that, like, it does hurt, like, the strategic elements where I'm, like, trying to figure things out, and then it's like, well, I'm wasting my effort because things are changing all the time anyway. So maybe all that means is like the cadence of the transforms is too rapid. Like I felt like 3 cards or so transformed in that singular fight, and so maybe the cadence is just too fast, and so I don't get a chance to get my bearings underneath me before the complexity ramps up again, or before a card changes and kind of changes how things work. But it does seem like the effects were generally positive, and so the result was that the fight got easier, and so I'm not like super, it wasn't like super problematic or anything, it did kind of feel like, oh, well now I don't have to worry about this, and so then like the landscape of the puzzle changed, so starting threat level max. Oh, so I have more space to, like, my threat level has a higher before I hit the max. -1 hand refill. I don't like that. I like more choices. This is -3 starting threat level, which my one thing added 3 threat level. This lowers 3 threat level. But then this makes everything require more progress? I don't like that. I don't think I like either of these. No. I don't like these buffs. They're terrible. Okay, maybe not terrible, but I'm just, when I think about those 2 buffs, neither of them felt positive. So if your buffs are so dubious that I don't feel like they're like, unlike the one that I took felt like that one's gonna be great. Starting ram every turn, that seems amazing. Those 2, even though they're like the higher tier ones, felt worse than that. So a bit dubious in that regard. I guess that also is like a reason why you can preview these, so if you can avoid the really bad ones, but I feel like there shouldn't be really bad ones. I feel like the things you can salvage should be things that are like helping you combat the challenge. Maybe not make it too easy, and that's probably why. And maybe those were even correctly balanced, but when I read them, I felt like that was a skip for me. So yeah, like that doesn't seem good. So another start of turn rams. You start with 2 ram. Oh, and then you have less max up. I'll probably do that one. Yeah, I would just maybe take another look and see, like, if you look at each of them and like if they're things you would never take. Like, what you don't want to have is like noob traps. You don't want to have things like, if a player takes that, they're going to actually lose because their mod is actually bad. You want them to all generally be good. And if I'm reading them and some seem great and others seem potentially not even worth taking either, it's like, that's not a good reward system. And so I think you're like toying with some ideas where there's like a give and take, and I think that's fine. But I think you want to keep them all relatively viable. You want them all to be viable, and you want them to all be like similar power level. You don't want any to be way worse than the others, and you don't want any to be way better than the others. And right now, I'm not sure if that's true. So I don't know enough about. I haven't played enough to know for sure, but that's how I read them, and so I would take another look from your angle and make sure that that is still true. All right. So we're imminent, so we're gonna gain threat every turn. We have hull breach, so going negative on my progress is bad, and Xenos means to start with those two. Okay. Power refills my hand. Or no, I always read that wrong. It draws another card per turn. When I get my thrusters, I will gain the thing. Okay. So what are we working with here? Play. It nullifies destructor deck's effects for 2 turns. So that can just like mitigate my threat greatly if I play it. I could. Maybe I'm being weird. So I could also do this, then do everything. It's actually overkill. I could also just do this and not do this, and just do whichever one I want. Because it's just gonna give me 1 threat. That's not like super crazy. I also don't get a free reset, so I do need to keep that in mind. I don't get a free reset this time, so I do need to play around with making sure I don't overfill my threat, and so I do need to like work on keeping that down. I almost think I should do this. Lower my threat, and then nullify these 2. Nullifies this one. Corrupt. RAM remaining in -1, so this is costless. But now, okay. So now I could use it just to draw 2, but I never want it to end up in my destructor pile because it's bad. Okay, so I think that 1 didn't nullify 2 because it had just transformed, and now all the future ones it will properly work. Okay. So this one's nullified. This one is going to -3, but if we just go ahead and get through this one, which looks like we can, if we just get through this one, then it'll subtract on nothing, which would be nice. So I think I want to just do this, and I guess I want to draw first, because just at 2 threat level, I think it's like whatever. My system progress, so that's good. My threat level is pretty well under control. It's like I could lower it even further. Like I could I can lower it to 0 and then pay for it later, essentially. Cool. Interesting. So now it costs 0, which is good. I mean, things costing 0 is great, but now its effect is worse. But I guess that's okay. And then, yeah, we'll play this one. We're down to 0. So this is going to undo any progress unless I nullify it, which I could, looks like. So if I nullify it, I nullify this one and this one, both of which are good. So yeah, let's get this nullify going. So let's do this one. And do this. I think I want to nullify the next two, then I want to shuffle them. Yeah. No, because I don't care if this one triggers. I almost now feel like I should just let it go. Like, let this fire, like, I don't care. I just want to really avoid this doubling something big, because we really don't have a means of getting rid of a big doubler. So I want to mask the doubler, but if it doubles my current threat level, it's not a big deal. You know what? I don't think it actually matters. I think if I just do this, and maybe I don't shuffle. This gives me +2. This gives me draw 2. I guess first let me draw 2. Draw 3. Yeah, it does feel like everything gets like, I won't say really easy. I'm obviously still having to think my way through things, but like just as you play, things naturally become easier. And so it's kind of interesting. It actually, the more I understand and the less I need things to be easy, is when things become easier. Because now I'm able to just like cycle and just play this card, and so things feel easier, even though like things feel doubly easier. Now that I understand how things interact a bit better, things are getting easier, and then the cards upgrading are also making things easier. So I don't think that that's like really a bad thing, but it's kind of weird, right? Because like as I start to figure, like as I get better, my deck gets better, where you almost feels like maybe in the, well, I don't know, like, because if you just started me out with some of these upgraded cards and then maybe took them away or something, I don't know that would fix it. Yeah, I'm not saying that that's problematic, but I'm just curious if that's how you actually want this to play out. I think what would be more interesting is if some of these upgrades were like a choice I was making. Because right now they're just happening naturally from playing the game. I'm just getting upgrades from putting things in the destructor, I'm getting upgrades from playing cards, and so then naturally I just get a powered up deck. And what I think would be kind of interesting is after as in addition to the current reward, would be where I could choose a card. Like, so say I met the requirements, like say it's just put a card in your, play a card 5 times or whatever, and you can upgrade a card. Rather than it just upgrading the card that's been played 5 times, what if you played a card 5 times in a single fight, and if you do that, then after the fight you can upgrade a card. And so then, but it would be like my choice, or a choice between 3 or something like that. And so then it adds some strategic element on my side where I get to figure out what card makes the most sense to upgrade. It gives me a choice, and it slightly adjusts the cadence of these upgrades happening. And so then I feel rewarded because I've made a choice of what upgrade I want, and the choice that I made is what is making the game easier. Whereas right now, I'm playing the game just figuring out how it works, and I'm getting rewarded, but it's also just naturally making the game easier. And so I don't feel like I'm doing good things, and that those good things are what is making the game easier. The game is just making itself easier as I play. You see how that's like less rewarding for me, is like, as the player, is like, I want, I either want the game to stay hard and I'm just getting good, and so that's why I'm winning. But you have this upgrade system, and I think it's interesting, and I like the more powerful cards, but I don't feel rewarded for getting them because I'm just given them. But if I had to choose the best of 3, then every time I used the card I chose, I would feel better. I would feel rewarded because I'm like, I've made this fight easy because I had the strategy that's winning. That's pulling a little bit more on the elements of, I guess, what I would consider a traditional deck builder, is where the strategic choices that I'm making are what makes the game easier. You're kind of towing that line between the puzzle and the actual thing, but I think having the rewards be automatic the way that they are currently cheapens both. It doesn't give me the satisfaction of my strategy being what is making me win. It's also cheapening your puzzles, where I've just played enough cards where now I just draw this card and I play it and it's free and it's amazing. And so I don't feel rewarded for using it, and I also don't feel clever for solving the puzzle because I've just kind of played the card enough times that now it's just OP. I just play it and I get +2, and then that's just always good. So I think that there may be some ways you can kind of rearrange your reward structure to make it feel more rewarding to the player. My idea is to make it a choice that you get after the fight, but that's not the only way to do it. I just think it happening automatically is fighting your setup. It's also possible if you just pulled them completely, which sounds crazy to me, but like if you just pulled them completely and I really had to rack my brain to figure out how to solve these puzzles, that may create a better experience. And now obviously I haven't fought the boss yet. I don't know how important these upgraded cards are going to be. Like maybe you really need them in order to beat the boss. But I will just say, if that's true, then I would maybe consider sliding them to the end of the fight and getting them as a reward for the fight, because I wasn't super impressed with your whatever they're called, salvage mods or whatever, but these card rewards are good, and so it could be nice to make it a post-fight reward where I'm choosing which card to upgrade, and my choices therefore make the fights easier or harder depending on how good the choice I made was. So I don't know, just something to consider. It's a little too soon for me to say because I haven't fought the boss, but that's just kind of my feeling based on how these are playing out. So I'm going to use this game 2, and then I'm going to use this one. Max that out. Okay. Now I'm going to be drawing more cards. This is nullified. I got to get up to 7. So I've got some threat coming in, but nothing too bad, really. I could try to get... I don't think I do anything. I think I just hold. Because I think what I want to do... I think I want to nullify. Now if I nullify these 2, I'm only getting 1 threat per turn, which is very manageable. I think I want to do this one. What do I want to do here? I think I want to nullify 2. Nullified. Threat is at 5. I could lower that down to 3. Which is probably worthwhile. Oh, another upgrade. Ooh, minus. Yeah, see? This is great too. I would just feel better if I got to choose this. Because it's just happening. It's great, but it's just a little bit less like I'm doing something good, and the game's just like, just kind of throwing rewards at random. Not truly at random, like I understand what's happening, but it does just feel a bit kind of like I'm landing on get out of jail free. Just like randomly good things are happening, and so it's lowering some of the strategic value. So now this thing is just free. It's free and it lowers my threat by 3, and so it's just amazing as long as I never put it in my destructor pile, and I just shouldn't do that, and then it's free. So yeah. now it just feels like great. So now I do this, and then I've got 6 cards over there. So if I draw 3, it's possible. I guess it's probably not possible. It probably doesn't shuffle. It's not possible for me to draw that one again. But so this is nullified, so nothing bad's about to happen other than going up by 1. I assume I should save this until I'm past my nullified ones. Huh. This costing 0. Oh yeah, you're the doubler. So I only have 2 cards in here, but if I do the, I want to keep that because that's a big plus. So if I do this one. Double my RAM. Is that just extra because I don't need that much RAM? Yeah, I think I don't do this yet. So just do this. Oh, plus I think I just get one automatically anyway. Oh. I was way overthinking. Yeah, because the tail end of the fight just gets pretty easy. So, okay. So this I wanted to start with another, even more RAM. Like I have free cards, I've got free RAM, and sure, my max threat level goes down by 1. That's fine. Okay, so beat these with the boss. Yeah, okay, so my threat level started at 6, and I lowered it down to 9. But I've got some spice. I've got some spicy power-ups, so. Oh, plus 1 threat level for destructor size after destructor plays. Okay. So it goes up by 1. So I really do need to lower this threat, because starting at 6 of 9, triggers plus 1 goes to 7, triggers goes up to 8, and then an additional, yeah, so. Problematic. I do need to lower my threat immediately. Oh god. So it stays? It's always going to be 2? Gross. So I really can't put a lot of cards in my destructor because it really just needs to stay at 2. Oh boy. Okay. Well, this is definitely a scary stack of restrictions. Ooh, nice. I just get a lot of RAM for free. I like it. I like it. Yeah, that'll be good too. Okay. So I have 2 starting. Okay, so this is. Oh, no, I can play this. Yeah. I just lower my threat by 3. Perfect. I can also nullify these 2. I just play this. Just go straight up to 2. And I can just nullify these. So then all that should be happening is the rogue AI. So I get plus 1 threat level. Oh, and the imminent impact. So I should get plus 3. But these are both nullified, which I assume nullified still counts for the rogue AI. But I don't. Yeah, let's see. So my expectation is that I am going to gain 3 threat, go back to 6, but these aren't going to trigger. So let's see if that's true. It's possible, since they're nullified, they also don't count for this, which would be amazing, but I think that's too much to hope for. So I was at 3 and I went to 5, which was neither of my expectations. Oh, I guess maybe because it used the card off the top, then it checked afterwards and there was only 1 card, so I got the one from the impact, the one from the rogue AI, but the one that got used didn't count, I guess. Yes, that's what it says. After Destructor plays. Okay. So it's going to keep me at 2, so really it's... As long as I keep my Destructor pile at 2, it's going to always... It's going to be +1 from this, +1 from this. Okay. Cool. Well, I don't like that. Why are you here? Oh, no. So now I really want to nullify that, which I don't get to, but I've got another turn. So we get to play this. We could double. Yeah, having this in my Disruptor pile, though, is real scary for a lot of reasons. Because, for one, I already have 2 cards in my Disruptor pile, so putting a 3rd in there is bad. Because that makes it so I +3, so that put me at 8 of 9. I don't love that. But this lowers me. This lowers me down to... So if I went up to 8, it would lower me right back down to 5. And then it would let me stay at 5 and do this. But now I think about it, I could also just do this and stay at 5 and not add a card to my Disruptor pile. So it's probably smarter to just do this. Save this for next turn. And then decide if I want to do that part. So I think that's what I'll do. What happens when I max my power? Oh, I get bigger hand. So I think that's what I want to do. This is nullified, so I'm going to go +2. I'm going to go to 7. But I really want to nullify this thing, because that is horrible. Okay. Ugh. Alright. I don't think I'm going to get to. I mean, I could shuffle. If I shuffle... I don't know if it's a guaranteed shuffle or if it's a random shuffle. Shuffle tends to be random, so it's possible I could switch it to this, which is not a lot better. But if I do... Ugh, yeah, it's not great. Shoot. Okay, well, the loss is hard, so there's that. Even with my upgraded cards, because this got thrown in here, this is really scary. I mean, I can really lower my threat level. But it's going to cost me something. So, what to do, what to do. Because, yeah, if I just throw too many cards over here, then the rogue AI is just going to bury me. Really can't. Just sitting on all these cards is making so I'm only drawing 1 per turn, and so I'm not really getting anywhere. So I could just play 2 cards. I don't really care about the shuffle per se, but maybe it'll still be better. No, it won't. So if I lower by 3, I go to 4. If it switches to this one gives me +3, puts me right back up to 7. Then I get the imminent, then I get the rogue, and I lose. So I really can't afford to do that. Can't do these 2. Bruh, this is rough. So I could... Man, discarding this is also rough. I could discard this, double my energy, then play you, play you. pass. Holy, I don't know, man. This seems rough. Play you. Play you. Now I have... Yeah. This triggering, though, terrifies me, because this is going to just bury me in the rogue AI, I think. Yeah, because I'm already right back up to 7, and I have 4 cards in here. Yeah, that's a problem. It's just so hard to get this. This is like a hard thing to get to go down once you've gone up. So, I mean, I can nullify some, but it's not gonna matter. Yeah. Yeah, we'll pretend like this does something, but I'm pretty sure I just auto lose right here. Yep. Okay. So, I mean, I generally understood the problem with that, but it's like, it's kind of interesting. Like, I felt like like, I just got done saying like how much easier the other fights were getting, and then I get to the boss and it's like challenging. I mean, it's really just added so much difficulty to the boss. So destructor equals 1. Interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure like the fights leading up to the boss properly set me up for the boss. Like, I would like to just re-tackle with my same deck. I don't think I get to do that. Yeah, I mean, this would be nice. So it's kind of cool to unlock some cards. That would be nice. But again, that feels like it isn't necessarily what I want. What I really want is like the strategy to be there from the get-go, and it feels like it was. So I'm almost curious if maybe the boss needs to be a teensy bit easier or more in line with the previous fights. It almost feels like the other fights could be a little bit harder and the boss could be a little bit easier, and then my progression would have felt a bit more satisfactory. So yeah. Yeah, I just don't want to do a whole new run just to re-challenge that boss, because I'm curious if I wonder. I'm just gonna try something. What if I quit and reopen? What does it actually do? Just curious if it lets me do it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I feel like I really liked the complexity and how puzzle-like everything felt, and then I actually think that some of the card progression and unlocks and stuff actually felt like it lessened that a little bit. And then I felt like there was a huge jump when I got to the boss. So I felt like the card progressions were making the fights leading up to the boss too easy, or like deceptively easy. And then I get to the boss, who has a bunch of, he had like four negative effects for me to deal with, and it was just too much for me to, like, as soon as I slipped a teeny bit, I just lost. And so I suspect that there was a line of play with that deck for me to actually be able to win with the deck that I had, but because I wasn't conditioned for that from the previous fights, especially the way they end, the way they end is so easy, because you've like everything's upgraded, you've got your thrusters, you've got everything, you've got the threat level like a flat line down to 0. You can just turn the corner and you just are off to the races. So I think that like switching that mindset and then going to the boss, who's way challenging and you really don't get any early game slip ups, was really challenging, because I felt like I was playing really careful, but then I kind of got myself backed into a corner where I didn't have any more plays, and then I had to add cards to the disruptor pile, and then I was just buried immediately. So I think that there's just some balancing issues there that are not quite aren't quite right, or don't quite feel consistent. I had my suggestions earlier where I was talking about like maybe the rewards get slid out to the end of the fights, um, and then they feel more rewarding because I feel like I've unlocked them by my choice, and so then my choice matters more in the upcoming fights. I think that's kind of interesting, an interesting way that you could kind of change some stuff, um, and then yeah, maybe just some rebalancing. I'm not sure why the boss felt so much harder than everything else. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I only fought the boss once, right? So if I fought the boss again and it was easier, then maybe it would be fine. Or if I, strategized a bit better. I do just think that like the jump of difficulty from the other enemies to the boss was significant, and so maybe all that means is that there just needs to be a better gradient for those. Maybe just introducing that rogue AI earlier, like on one of the mini bosses or like one of the previous fights, because I do think that was the problem. Because I was like, shoot, I can't add stuff to my disruptor pile, so how do I make enough energy? And so like learning how to combat that and like keep that in check would have been helpful. Because it felt manageable as long as it was only adding one more extra on top of my threat level. But as soon as I had to put an extra card in there, or actually as soon as a random card got added there that added multiple to my disruptor pile, I'm like, well, well, what do I do? It felt out of my control and unable to be like combated. Had I known and held onto my card that nullified it, it would have worked, or if I would have drawn it again, but it just didn't work out that way. So it felt a little out of my control, or a little bit like, yeah, just a little frustrating, I guess, because I feel like I could have won, but I just didn't expect it to get that difficult, and I didn't have the tools available when I needed them. So, yeah. But no, I think that I do, like I said, really like the puzzle aspect. I felt like I thought a lot. Like I felt like I was really racking my brain, and so it really felt more like a puzzle game than a deck builder game. So I would advise you to like kind of advertise it as much and make sure that you kind of. I think you should lean into it because it's good. I think you just need to make sure that when you're attracting people to this, they know what they're getting themselves into. They're getting themselves into a rack your brain kind of puzzle, not a little zoomed out strategy where you can make some mistakes. Like this doesn't feel very forgiving. If like especially in that boss fight, I made one mistake and or one choice that ended up not going my way, and it was very punishing. And so I think that you need, and I did feel like I was thinking about my turns and my plays at length before making any actions, and I think if you didn't do that, if you just started playing, you would be really hard pressed to win some of these fights. And so I think if you get people in that mindset, then they will be better off. And so I think, yeah, it's just a marketing advice to make sure that you're targeting the right people, the right kind of thinkers, and getting them I felt like your tutorial did set me up to like I really was thinking even at the tutorial level, so that part is good. But yeah, just kind of making sure that everybody that comes into this is expecting that. So yeah, cool game. Definitely excited to see what Joe thinks when he plays it. And yeah, I think that yeah, you've got a good thing going here. I think there's just some balancing tweaks and maybe some rearrangements of your existing rewards and stuff. So but yeah, I'll post this playthrough on YouTube, and then just hit me up. I'm on. You can message me or whatever if you have questions. I'll just post I'll post the YouTube in your project page on the Discord. So